Oh, this is the hardest video I've ever done. This is actually take three, which actually makes six. Jesus Christ, this is the video response to GM tag questions from Runeslinger. I swear to God, if I don't make it through this, I'm gonna fucking execute the next person who comes to my door. Long story short. Uh, so off the top, like these are really good questions, which sort of that high level thinking that we used to kind of have every once in a while on the brigade that is or wasn't. It doesn't matter. This is what we used to do. This is awesome. It actually made it a lot of fun being sort of part of all this. What I'd like to see happen, if anybody's interested, is I'd like to get some fellow GMs to take each one of these questions as a hangout, right? One at a time. We could kill one of these in an hour, right? And have 15 hours of videos. And even better if we could get some people who GM only and play mostly, right? To sit and discuss this stuff. That'd be amazing discussions because you can see the perspectives on how everyone thinks and those discussion points. And I think everyone comes out winning at that. So, like I said, pipe dream would be cool. Somebody wants to set that up, let me know because I'm lazy. Okay, whoo, man, you have no idea the shit I've had to deal with. All right now, oh my god. So let's see. What do I call player agency? That is the ability for you to do whatever you want at the table, provided you maintain some sanity, right? Focus on some guidelines. Don't do stupid shit and then say, "That's what my character would do." No one cares. You're being a fucking idiot. So you can do whatever you want, right? But you'll have limitations. It doesn't matter. It's sort of how this hobby works. There's the tone, right? Tone of the setting, tone of the system. Those are very important because they inform playstyle. They should inform playstyle. I've seen it not inform playstyle lots of times, unfortunately. Social contract, both the unspoken parts of the social contract, which are we're all here to have a good time and let's just get on with the shit. And then there's the actual social contract that you may have and say, okay, here's, 1, 2, and 3 things that we're not going to address because fucking reasons. I'm the same way. I have shit I don't want to talk about. I don't want to deal with, fucking in games because I'm big grown up. I've been married for 22 years. I don't need to have fantasies about fucking big titted elf barmaids or big cocked elf bar dudes, whatever. Hosts and hostesses, doesn't matter. You get the point. I don't need that. I don't really care for it. I don't think it's interesting. I think it's fucking silly and childish, to be perfectly honest with you. But that's my cross to bear. It's one of the reasons I hate Apocalypse World. Oh, I said it. I don't think they're the greatest games ever made. So you get those things, right? And then just don't be a jerk off. That's the last thing. Function in those boundaries. What people just assume is that, like, well, I can do whatever I want. You have no right to do anything. No, sometimes GMs are going to put things in front of your choices to see, I don't know, dedication to that choice, prevent moral quandaries, provide alternate means or methods. Sometimes they just want to fuck with you. It's not bad, not good. It is what it is, right? Where your player agency actually ends, despite your perceptions, is when the GM imparts upon you how your character feels, behaves, reacts, all that shit. The GM tells you, all right, you see, X, and your character is afraid, or you're afraid. No, that's bullshit. He doesn't have a right to tell you that. Now, if there's a role-involved mechanic that says, nope, it says here that you're fucking afraid because you suck and you failed the die roll, then yeah, that's a little bit different. But yeah, when the GM starts imparting that, don't do that. GMs also they're part of the social contract, with the last emphasis being don't be a fucking dickhead. So that's player agency to me. What does railroading mean to me? Do I apply it? Man, yeah, I'm guessing that's what it says. So railroading is not what everyone thinks it is. First off, railroading is not moving from point A to point B in a linear fashion. That's not a fucking railroad. Modules are written that way. I get it for the most part. Adventures are designed that way by a lot of people. It's poor adventure design. But for modules, it's not poor design. It's understandable limitations of the medium. But that's not railroading. I know everyone thinks it's railroading, but that's not railroading. Railroading is you need to get from point A to point B, and the obstacles along the way can only be overcome by preordained methods or methodologies. right? So you have plan A, B, and C, but the DM or GM says, nope, 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 nope. This is what you really should have happened. I wrote it down for you, right? That's railroading to, that's railroading. Conversely, there's also no such thing as sandboxes. I know everyone thinks there are, but the idea of a sandbox game is retarded. You would literally never get shit done. You would have analysis paralysis around the table, and it plays poorly. What there are like sandboxes that have toys cleverly placed within them, right? A sandbox is empty, just that's it. Right? People would sandbox, and it's like, no, it's not a sandbox campaign. It's not fucking devoid. Although, Microprose has somewhat of that where you can play with. But yeah, most campaign worlds and settings and the adventures have the interesting toys sprinkled here and there for you to go and find. So true sandbox, no such thing. That answers railroading. It goes back to reference 1. Tone and social contract, and don't be a dick. How does it feel like for me when I've had a bad session? So every GM out there is probably going to be nodding their heads in the next things I say. Every GM feels every session was probably a bad session. That's just how we are. We beat ourselves up because we put our hearts into the hobby, right? Even folks like me who are super low prep, and I'll sit down at the table and be like, no, don't know what we're doing today. Let's just, but the way I run a game, I don't have to worry about that. And then they're the same, on the opposite end of the spectrum. They're the folks who spend, their 40-hour work week, and then they come home and have a 40-hour work week with fucking Dungeons and Dragons. Don't know why. And they still think they have bad days. Everyone thinks they have a bad day, especially GMs. We really think we have bad days. And the players will let you know when you're actually having a bad day. But what does it feel like when you have a really bad day? And we do have them, right? I've had some that I'm just like, oh, that was the worst. Fuck, that sucked. It's horrible because for me, I feel like I've done a disservice to everyone around the table because I've wasted the travel time, I've wasted their money, right? And then I've wasted their time at the table away from their families or something else they could be doing that's equally or more important than, sitting around pretending to fucking blow a bunch of fucking fake half-gnome rock goblins. We play Apocalypse World. Oh, that's 2 digs at Apocalypse World in one video. I love it. No, so that's what it feels like. It really is. It's crushing inside when you're just like, God damn, I wasted everyone's fucking time with this stupid shit that I came up with. And, it happens. It is what it is, quite honestly. How do I handle bad players? And some bad behavior. So I usually get poo-pooed and, boo downvoted and shit because I'm a very assertive person. If you're fucking up the table, we'll talk about it. If you fuck up again after we've talked about it, your ass is out. There are a lot of people out there, you hear the podcast, who they're pussies, in my opinion, and not like the, denigrating women pussies. They're just pussies. The language evolves. They are fucking cowards. They are weak. And they'll change the game day to avoid conflict. Don't avoid conflict. Don't be a fucking chicken shit about it. Just get your players and say, look, here's what we expect, right? Tone, social, and don't be a dick. If you're violating those and you get talked to about it, the next time, get the fuck out, right? I've thrown motherfuckers out in the middle of a game. I've thrown a motherfucker out in the very beginning of a game. He didn't even get his fucking character off the ground because he refused to participate in the exercise going around the table. I've agreed to run Mathfinder for my local group. I fucking hate Mathfinder. I really do. I hate D20 and, F20 games in general. Can't stand them. Can't fucking stand Mathfinder, although it's probably the strongest of the worst of the lot. And, but I also run it with a little bit of Savage Worlds, a little bit of Fate, a little bit of Dungeon World thrown in. So I mix shit up, and my job is to empower players to empower their characters to empower me to do my job. And that's just the circle of life that I believe in. And he didn't want that. He wanted dolls on the table and monsters and maps drawn and all that shit. You ain't getting that with me. Just not going to happen. We may do dungeon crawls, you're still not getting fucking miniatures on a table and maps and all that shit. You're making a map, you better draw that shit by hand on a driveway board we have. That's where it's lying. So he refused. Like he didn't just sit there. He brooded and fucking browsed the internet. That was it. He was done. Out and Z. Fucking gone. So like I said, A lot of people, I get it, they don't want the conflict. They're afraid. This day and age, you never know if someone's going to snap and do some shit. I don't know what to tell you. Deal with it. Just be fucking adults about it. That's we're all adults, and we're all way too old to run and hide like chicken shits in our mom's basements and change the day. No, we're not playing on Tuesdays anymore. Right? Well, secretly, we're playing on Tuesdays. Or sometimes, they really will change the day and fuck everyone else's schedule up. They'll affect the fucking schedules of 5 people for one dumbass. Whatever. Don't do that. Tell them to get the fuck out of your house. In fact, escort them the fuck out of your house. What's a good player, in my opinion, and what are some of the things good players do? Well, conversely, good players, right? Sort of question one. They get the tone of the setting. They understand the tone of the system. And they understand the social contract, the interaction, and they behave as such, right? They control themselves. They don't do dumb shit. Well, that's what my character would do. No, it's what you want to do. You just conflate the fucking two issues, which is very common, and the reason why we can't have nice social conflict and social conflict mechanics in a system because of people like this. But good players don't do any of that shit. They're there for the ride. They're the summer blockbuster popcorn flick goers, right? They're just this is the coolest shit ever. I'm just jazzed to be. I got a ticket for the train. And that's great, right? They interact, they get into their character, they try to help other people out, they do what they can, they're there to enjoy the game, they're there to help make it a great game. That's a good player, right? They're part of the team rather than being an asshat. How do I handle splitting up a group? Oh god, that dumb old adage of don't split the party. That shit is so tired. Split the party. Split that fucking party as many times as you can. I tell you what, don't split the party so you can fucking kill people. That's not what I'm saying. Split the party and you can make it a more personal fucking experience. If you've got 2 people here, 1 person there, a couple people here. And I used to like call people aside and would go do secret meetings and they come back with the knowledge. Fuck all that. I expect people, good players, to be able to hear shit and lock it down as a metagame thing that they don't know. Right, and and hopefully it comes out, and if it doesn't, oh well, too bad. There's no need for high drama and this high Gygaxian theater and all this shit. Fuck it. But yeah, split the party, man. Nothing is more interesting, especially if you're doing if you are in a dungeon crawl or you're in a horror game, right, or investigative games. Do you guys split the party? If you don't, no one wants to have all 8 dickheads show up to locations A, B, and C to try to gather information, man. That shit's dumb. Let's just think about your office if you're in some environment or wherever you work and 8 dumbasses showed up demanding answers to a question. You'd be like, the fuck are these people? And why didn't you schedule a fucking conference with us? Or why are you... I'm just going to go ahead and bust security now. Yeah, no, split the party. I love splitting the parties. It makes it for a much more interesting game, and because everyone else at the table is dying whenever someone else's little group gets getting their ass handed to them, or when they discover something amazing and they're just like, "Oh, you fuckers better come back and tell us." What do I prefer more? Interaction and roleplay, combat, puzzles, traps, or a mix? Actually, I like the mix of things. So I kind of come off as a narrativist GM. God, English fail. I do like the narrativist styles. I do enjoy a combat, but the combat should mean something. I don't like the wading through. I don't like murder hobo shit anymore. I mean, it's just not. It's not that interesting to me. But when you can present a combat and the consequences are dire and you don't have to fight, right? That's the more important thing. Is when the players choose a fight. That's what's interesting because they've gotten to that point where now they feel helpless or they feel antagonized enough that they're going to have to take a life. And yeah, it sounds hippy-dippy. It's just not that hippy-dippy. I just don't put a lot of combats in there. I'd rather people pick and choose when they want to fight, not when I decide they want to fight. Just because they put kobolds in front of you doesn't mean you got to kill them. Then fucking talk to them. You never know what can happen. In fact, the last group I had run for that pissed off one of the players. He ended up leaving us because they didn't kill the kobolds. The knight was a representative of the crown and actually parlayed, and it was the whole lot. The kobolds ended up having rights to access to a gold mine, and the crown was now use these kobold laborers and pay them well. And it was this thing. It was this long, drawn out thing. It was a lot of fun for people, and there was a little feast and all that shit. But everyone enjoyed it. It was much more interesting than there's a kobold den. We're gonna charge in and light these motherfuckers up. That's Juvenile. Puzzles. Man, I love puzzles. The problem with puzzles is the same thing with and I like puzzles, traps. I love that idea, but I come from the old school where it was a challenge. You challenge the players, right? And I like that, but it just doesn't fly anymore because so you got a wizard, right? Who's got like an IQ of, I don't know, 170, 180. If you're playing 4th edition, then you fucking 385, whatever their upper limit of ability scores, or ridiculous shit they were. So that's what you got to think of, right? Back in the day, that's how you adjudicate these ability scores. They actually talked about that. And so an intelligence of 18 is like 180 IQ. Well, that's fucking high, right? So you're giving these puzzles and traps to the player. The player doesn't have 180 IQ. I mean, they might. It depends on who you're gaming with. But the average IQ is what, 90, 95? Maybe lower, maybe higher, right? So it's not really fair for me to present this puzzle to you when the character you're playing would probably just as easily be like, oh, fuck that, and crush it every single time. So I kind of gotten away from that. I still put them in there, but I do it to where it's much more. Well, with Savage Worlds, we have mechanics and system aspects that are in place that allow us to have a little bit more fun with puzzles and with traps than a simple, I detect traps. Okay, well, you missed the trap and you die. I mean, people can do that, but it's just boring. I blame you for your shitty game. Confer to player question 3. So that's what I like. Do I tinker with the rules, or do I use it rules as written? And would I please explain why? No, fuck you. Yeah, for Savage Worlds, I run pretty much rules as written. The thing about Savage Worlds is they already provide the framework. You got your rules as written, but then they have setting rules and trappings. And so Savage Worlds already out of the box. I mean, it's right here, my fave, $10, right, for a complete system. And we've been talking about this on the other podcast that I do. Savage Worlds can do. It can do everything. It just needs the right person. You have to have the right mindset. So Savage Worlds allow. I don't really get to tinker with the rules as written because they're there and they're outstanding. What I'll do is I apply setting rules, and it even teaches you how to make new setting rules and trappings, and how trappings apply to powers. They can apply to everything, to skills. If you're a wizard, for instance, in Savage Worlds, has pick locks. That doesn't mean the motherfucker's down there with his lock picks. You could easily just trap that to where he's picking a lock with his Arcana, right? Everything is possible. Again, one of the reasons I really love the system, it lets you free flow back and forth from, Fate to Mathfinder. I'm going to keep saying Mathfinder, so if you're a Pathfinder player and you get upset, I'm sorry. Don't have to tell you. It is literally Mathfinder. But yeah, I hope that sort of kind of covers that question. F20, man, I fuck with those rules. So if you really mess with rules a lot in a system, that's probably the wrong system for you. I will say that. And that's what I found myself. Like, all the systems that I played, and I got in there, like, you don't know better than the game designers. I know that's a bold statement to make, but you really don't. Like, these guys get fucking paid, and they do a lot of research and a lot of development work on this shit, and there's a lot of intricate parts that are moving. I don't believe in game balance. It's not just a game balance. It's a lot to it. We don't know better than these guys do. We don't. We think we do, but we don't. Anyway, tangent aside. If you're mucking about with the rules, you're playing the wrong system. That's you need to move on to another system that's going to better simulate, right? Good phrase. What you're trying to accomplish, and sometimes that means letting go of decades of I'm only going to play fucking Dungeons and Dragons and that's it. Well, that's not the be-all end-all of gaming. Savage Worlds isn't the be-all end-all of gaming. I know, heretical. I said it. I played other systems. I do like playing other systems. So that's it. No, I really don't. I don't monk about. And honestly, I have found if you fuck around with the rules a lot, then that's the wrong system for you. There's my answer. Do I mind running NPCs with a group? I will never put a GMPC into a fucking game. Not ever, never, ever, never, 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 ever, never, never. It's not gonna happen. Keep your fucking Mary Sue's to yourself. Write a fucking book. That's my advice. Even if you got 2 players, don't give a shit. If you got 1 player, don't give a shit. You better learn how to fucking design amazing fucking obstacles and interactive elements for that one player. Thoughts on campaigns and one-shots? Man, I went overtime on RuneSlinger. He can suck it. Thoughts on campaigns and one-shots? So I spent about 2 years running one-shot Wednesdays at a local Books A Million. Just gather up, people come over, and I would let them try different systems. That's how I got experience with so many systems. So I did that. I love the one-shots, but I found the players don't like the one-shots. Like, they're fun for them to see this how the system works, but then they get the right taste of it, and they definitely want a campaign. We can't help it. That's the primal instinct inside of us, that we want to take these hero stories and continue them. Right? We keep hearing more and more stories about the heroes. We can't help that. It's ingrained into us. Which one do I prefer? I don't know, man. I really like one-shots because, I mean, even if you made them episodic, I still think they'd be fun. I don't know. Yeah, I really do like the one-shots. Campaigns aren't bad. I just find out that 90% of the campaigns, maybe that's too high, maybe 80% of campaigns are never fucking finished, right? I mean, people can talk about it, but they're barely finished. It just is what it is. How much fantasy versus realism? Holy shit. Stop with the realism. We've talked about this on videos. I've talked about this on the podcast. Gamers generally don't know as much as they fucking think they do about how shit works in real life. That goes for me. The latest thing we were talking about, fucking guns and how bullets. It doesn't work the way people think it does. It just doesn't. Bows and archery. I helped my main man with some archery questions for the game that he made. He had some legitimate questions, and he was, one of those rare people who can say, "Hey, it's not my wheelhouse. What do you got?" And we talked about archery and the ins and outs of bows, the no shit of bows. And it's again, archery, crossbows and bows don't function the way fucking people think they do. Even with my favorite system, they get some shit. Just they're off on some assumptions of how things really work. So no, I like more of the cinematic. I didn't used to be that way. I used to be one of those people who clamored for realism. It doesn't simulate it well. Well, you know what else it doesn't do? Play fucking well. It's not fun. When your ass is, all fucked up and doing this and doing that, and it's not as much fun as it is inside your head. And then keep in mind that every little dick move you make against the play, that you think you're giving the players that opportunity to do, it applies to the monsters, and the monsters make way more fucking attack rolls against the party than they ever will against the opponents. Just keep that in mind. Do I prefer running modules, hacking mods, or running my own story? First off, it's not my story. It's the player's story. It's never my story. They come up with the shit. Just when we're sitting on a table, we're doing the thought exercise of getting the characters together, getting the world together, and we go from there. I do use some modules. I use a lot of old school modules because a lot of modern gamers have never fucking played them before. But just with my style, you'll never do Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh the same twice with me. It'll always be mixed up, and you won't recognize the module maybe until halfway through it, and you realize that Ned Shakeshaft motherfucker, I knew he'd backstab us. Right, hands up if you ever played U1. So, that's what I do. I'd like to say, I hack them, and I did a video long ago, and I don't know, people hated it, but I'll take dungeons, classic dungeons, and rip those bitches out of the earth, and I still believe, and I do it all the time, is that you can take a dungeon, the encounters that are in there, and you can make that into a wilderness adventure. Fucking lickety-split, easy day. Easy day. Simple, straight simple shit. Just imagine it. Get outside your own head and stop being myopic, and you can really turn shit around. What game system has gotten me the best results? Savage Worlds. Savage World addresses a lot of things that I had. I didn't like how hit points function. I don't like the whittling effect. I mean, philosophically I get hit points. I still don't like the whittling effect. It's too much, right? It's too long. Not a fan of how armor class works. Not a fan of fucking roll and fail, and that's it. So a lot of things. Savage Worlds course corrected a lot of that shit. But Savage Worlds also showed me a new light. Now I said I've taken things from Dungeon World, taken things from Fate, there's a couple other systems. But yeah, for me, Savage Worlds has done it. I love that system. So I went from hardcore Rollmaster. So when I talk about realism and all that dumb shit, I don't come from a position of silliness or arrogance. I come from a person who ran Rollmaster exclusively for fucking years. And then I met Savage Worlds, and then I don't really look back. At all. So that's it. I mean, Savage Worlds allows you to go from amazing, deep, gritty Call of Cthulhu horror, which fucking people say it can't. You're wrong. You just don't know the fucking system, and you don't know Realms of Cthulhu, and you don't know the base system of Savage Worlds Deluxe. And you can go into that swingy, super pulpy Firefly or Buck Rogers, fucking Roman Gladiator. You can do anything with this system. And the flexibility is already built in where the rules are written are straightforward and common sense. Then you got your common sense rules, and then you've got your layer of setting rules, and you've got your undertones of trappings. And if you can work the three of those together, Savage Worlds will do fucking wonders for you. What method has gotten me the best results, and tell us about it? So I interact with the players, and I ask questions of the players. I allow them to dictate to me how they know someone, or why this person looks this way, or what this secret rune means. And then I'll incorporate that into the story. What else? And I will allow them to impose some small truths onto each other's characters at the right time. But whether or not those are actual truths sort of end up as part of the story, and there are times when they'll come together and they'll coalesce and be like, yeah, that was fucking pretty cool. I never thought of that. Right? And then, so that's the method that I use, and I've had a great response to it. Every time I offer to run a game, there's, I've got cheerleaders, in the local area that, they pretty much put up and say, hey, you should really sit down at the table with him and, watch the magic happen. Because I'm mostly retarded outside of this. I think this is my stim. And what got me into running these kind of games? Like RPGs in general. I know Rune had some... anyway, so, yeah, it's still a very loose, and he could have interpreted it his own way. So running RPGs, I don't know. I'm a natural theater nerd. Right? I'm a Virgo, which I don't really believe in horoscopes, but I mean, Virgos, we are a little weird as a group of people. And I don't know. I just like entertaining people. I'm happy. I'm a super happy, excited drunk. I don't get angry. I don't fight when I've been drinking. It's not my style, so I like interacting, I like human interaction. I like working with people. It's just what I'm good at. So the more the merrier. I like the idea of everyone having this collective story running in their heads, and when a situation is presented, there's different perspectives of what's happening and how to accomplish what we need to accomplish. So that's pretty much it. The type of games I run, that was a long build-up of, I used to be the person who, if it wasn't D&D, it wasn't shit. And then I played Shadowrun, and then got into Rollmaster and stayed Rollmaster. Tried some Palladium, God help me. And Rollmaster went back into 3.0 when it came out. Hated it. Did 3.5 because I was like, maybe they changed it. No, it still sucked. It made it worse, as a matter of fact. Featmaster was terrible. And then just sort of hopped around trying to find different things. And then I picked up Savage Worlds. I fucking hated it the first time. So eat a dick, everyone who says I'm a shill. Really didn't like it. It doesn't read well, right? So that's part of Pinnacle's, one of their major foibles is that their technical writing is awful. That aside, once you get it, and I play with someone, that's the important part, is play with someone who actually has gotten it, or at least gotten part of it. They've unlocked that door for you, crack that code, then you can go from there. And then with Savage Worlds, and I started coupling it to other systems and just ran, and that's how I got to where I am today, a douchebag.